buses, cars, trains. And I just really got tired of partying every night.
She was a force of nature, a woman who rose from the ashes of abuse, poverty, and betrayal to become one of the most powerful voices the world has ever known. Tina Turner didn't just survive the music industry, she conquered it. But behind the glittering gowns and sold-out stadiums, behind that legendary voice that could shake the heavens, there was a list she rarely spoke about. 6 names. 6 musicians who had crossed her path and left wounds that never fully healed. Some envied her, some used her, some tried to control her, and one nearly destroyed her. These weren't just professional disagreements or minor feuds. These were deep, personal betrayals that cut to the bone. And the first name on that list? It belonged to the Queen of Soul herself, Aretha Franklin. Aretha Franklin was royalty in the music world, a woman whose voice carried the weight of gospel and the fire of rhythm and blues. She was untouchable, revered, and deeply protective of her crown. But when Tina Turner began her solo career in the early 80s, rising from the ruins of her marriage to Ike, Aretha didn't offer her a hand. She offered cold silence. The two women had crossed paths before, back when Tina was still part of the Ike and Tina Turner review, and there had always been an unspoken tension. Aretha never publicly acknowledged Tina's talent, never gave her the respect that one queen should give another. Some say it was jealousy, others say it was fear. Tina's raw energy, her unfiltered stage presence, threatened the carefully crafted image Aretha had built. And when Tina's comeback exploded with "What's love got to do with it?", Aretha remained distant, dismissive. In interviews, Tina would later hint at the pain of being overlooked by someone she had admired. It wasn't hatred born of anger. It was the ache of disappointment. But Aretha wasn't the only legend who turned a blind eye to Tina's brilliance. There was another icon, flamboyant and untouchable, who left his own mark of cruelty. Elton John. Elton John was larger than life. A man who wore his extravagance like armor and his emotions like a badge of honor. He was known for his generosity, his support of other artists, his willingness to share the spotlight. But with Tina Turner, things were different. In the mid-'80s, when Tina was clawing her way back to the top, Elton made comments in the press that stung. He questioned her relevance. He suggested that her comeback was a fluke, a nostalgia act rather than a genuine artistic resurgence. For a woman who had fought so hard to reclaim her voice, to rebuild her career from nothing. Those words were daggers. Elton's dismissiveness wasn't just professional critique. It felt personal. It felt like another man in the industry trying to diminish her power, to remind her that she was still an outsider. Tina never forgot it. Years later, when their paths crossed at industry events, the warmth between them was paper thin. She smiled for the cameras. But behind her eyes, there was a coldness that spoke volumes. Elton's words had joined the chorus of voices that tried to tell her she wasn't enough. But if Elton's cruelty was rooted in ego, the next man on her list was driven by something far darker. Phil Spector. Phil Spector was a genius. That's what everyone said. The architect of the wall of sound, a producer who could take a simple melody and transform it into something monumental. But genius came with a price, and those who worked with him paid dearly. Tina Turner was one of them. In 1966, Tina recorded River Deep, Mountain High under Spector's direction. And the experience was nothing short of a nightmare. Spector was controlling, abusive, and obsessed with perfection to the point of madness. He forced Tina to sing the same lines over and over again. Dozens of takes, hundreds of takes, until her voice was raw and her spirit broken. He didn't see her as an artist. He saw her as an instrument, a tool to bring his vision to life. And when the song failed to chart in America despite its brilliance, Spectre blamed everyone but himself. He dismissed Tina, cast her aside, and moved on without a second thought. For Tina, the memory of those recording sessions lingered like a scar. Spectre represented everything wrong with the industry. Men who demanded everything and gave nothing in return. Years later, when Spectre's dark legacy of violence and control came to light, Tina wasn't surprised. She had seen the monster behind the genius long before the world did. But cruelty didn't only come from men. The next name on her list belonged to a woman who embodied ambition without empathy. Madonna. Madonna was the queen of reinvention, a woman who understood the game of fame better than almost anyone. She was fearless, provocative, and unapologetically ambitious. But her rise to the top came at a cost. And sometimes that cost was paid by others. In the late 80s, as both women dominated the charts, Madonna made several comments that subtly undermined Tina's legacy. She positioned herself as the future, the revolutionary, while painting Tina as the past, a relic of a bygone era. It was subtle, calculated, and deeply hurtful. Tina had paved the way for women like Madonna, had shown the world what it meant to be powerful and sensual on stage. And yet, instead of acknowledgement, she received erasure. Madonna never credited Tina's influence, never spoke of her with the reverence she deserved. It was as if Tina's decades of groundbreaking work didn't matter, as if Madonna had invented female empowerment all on her own. For Tina, it wasn't about competition, it was about respect. And Madonna's refusal to give it felt like betrayal. But if Madonna's crime was erasure, the next musician on Tina's list committed something far more complex. David Bowie. David Bowie was an enigma, a shapeshifter who danced between genres and personas with effortless grace. He was beloved, untouchable, a god in the world of rock and roll. And for a brief moment in the 80s, he and Tina Turner shared the spotlight. Their duet, Tonight, should have been legendary. Two icons coming together to create something unforgettable. But behind the scenes, the collaboration was strained. Bowie was distant, disengaged, more interested in his own artistic vision than in creating a genuine partnership. Tina felt used, as if she were simply another prop in Bowie's ever-changing act. He didn't treat her as an equal. He treated her as a guest star in his world, a voice to be borrowed and discarded. And when the song failed to make the impact everyone had hoped for, Bowie moved on without looking back. For Tina, it was another reminder of how disposable she was in the eyes of her peers. Even someone as progressive and boundary-breaking as Bowie couldn't see her as anything more than a supporting player. The disappointment lingered, a quiet ache that never fully went away. But none of these wounds, no matter how deep, could compare to the final name on her list, the man who nearly destroyed her, Ike Turner. Ike Turner was the monster in Tina's story, the man who discovered her, shaped her, and then tried to break her. For years, he beat her, controlled her, and made her believe she was nothing without him. He took her money, her dignity, and her sense of self. He turned their home into a prison and their marriage into a war zone. And even after she finally escaped, even after she rebuilt her life and became a legend in her own right, Ike never stopped trying to reclaim her narrative. He gave interviews painting himself as the victim, insisting that Tina had exaggerated the abuse, that she owed him everything. He couldn't stand that she had survived without him, that she had thrived. For Tina, Ike's name wasn't just on a list of people she hated, it was seared into her soul, a reminder of the darkness she had clawed her way out of. And yet, even in her hatred, there was something more complicated, because Ike had also been her partner, her collaborator, the father of her child. The pain he caused was layered with years of history, and that made it all the more unbearable. 6 names. 6 musicians who left their mark on Tina Turner's life in ways both painful and profound. Some envied her, some dismissed her, some tried to control her, and one nearly destroyed her. But in the end, none of them could stop her. Tina Turner rose above every betrayal, every wound, every attempt to diminish her light. She became more than a survivor. She became a legend. And these 6 names, etched into her memory, served not as chains but as reminders of her strength. Because Tina didn't need their approval. She didn't need their respect. She had something far more powerful, her voice, her truth, and a legacy that would outlast them all. In the end, they were just names on a list, but Tina was simply the best.